Those 7 words changed my life forever. Come with me. Trust me, they will regret this. I was sitting on the cold marble floor of Dubai International Airport, shaking, hungry, and completely alone, when a tall stranger in a flowing white robe stopped in front of me and spoke them. But to understand why those words mattered, I need to take you back 4 hours earlier, back to the moment I realized my own mother had left me behind. I was 14 years old, standing at gate 23, watching a plane taxi toward the runway. A plane carrying my mother and my brother. A plane I was supposed to be on, but I wasn't. I stood there in an oversized t-shirt, my hands numb, my chest hollow, slowly understanding something that felt impossible. She hadn't lost me. She hadn't gotten confused. She had walked onto that plane without me. On purpose. 4 hours later, when police would call her in Bangkok, when she would finally learn the truth, her face would go white. But in that moment, I didn't know any of that yet. All I knew was that I had been left behind. My name is Molly Underwood. I'm 32 now. I run a successful import-export business. But back then, I was invisible. Not metaphorically, functionally. I was the kind of kid who could sit at the dinner table and somehow still not exist. My mother, Patricia, worked nonstop after my father died when I was 6. Grief hit us all, but it hit my brother Spencer differently. At least that's what my mother believed. Spencer was 9 when Dad died. From that moment on, he became the center of everything. Star athlete, perfect smile, never wrong. If something broke, it was my fault. If money went missing, I must have taken it. If there was conflict, I started it. So I learned something early. Being quiet was safer. Being invisible hurt less. The only person who truly saw me was my grandmother, Nora. She sent me books, called me when my mom forgot, told me stories about my father. And the summer I turned 14, something finally changed. I earned a full scholarship to an elite arts program. For one brief moment, the spotlight wasn't on Spencer. He hated it. He didn't say it directly, but resentment has a sound, and I heard it every day. A week before our vacation, I overheard Spencer on the phone. "The trust fund," he said. "She can't find out." When he noticed me, he snapped, "Stay out of my business." I didn't understand then. I wish I had. Our trip was supposed to be a dream. Phoenix to Dubai, Dubai to Bangkok. My first real vacation. At the Dubai layover, Spencer suggested we split up. He offered to hold my backpack. My passport was inside. So was my boarding pass, my money. I handed it to him without thinking. Why wouldn't I trust my brother? That decision almost destroyed my life. When I returned to gate 23, they were gone. The flight had already boarded. Patricia Underwood boarded. Spencer Underwood boarded. Molly Underwood, no-show. That's when it hit me. They left, and I had nothing. No passport, no phone, no money. Security questioned me gently, but I could see the concern in their eyes. A 14-year-old American girl, alone, undocumented, abandoned. Eventually, they released me into the terminal while they contacted the embassy. That's when I slid down against the wall and cried. Families passed by. Children laughing, parents holding hands. I hadn't eaten in 8 hours. Luxury surrounded me, gold shops, designer stores, while I sat on the floor with nothing. I tried to disappear, and that's when a shadow fell over me. He was tall, calm, dignified. "My name is Khalid al-Rashid," he said. "I work here." He didn't touch me, didn't crowd me, he just sat nearby and waited. "You remind me of my daughter," he said softly. "She passed away at 15. Something about his honesty broke through my fear. I told him everything. Spencer, the lie, the missing documents, the trust fund. He listened without interruption. Then he said something I'll never forget. "What happened to you is not just cruel, it is potentially criminal." From that moment on, everything changed. Khalid moved with quiet authority. Security footage was pulled, and there it was, my brother unzipping my backpack, smiling, taking my passport, planning it. Text messages confirmed everything. Once she's out of the picture, the money is mine. My father had left us both a trust fund. Spencer wanted all of it, and I was the obstacle. When my mother landed in Bangkok, police were waiting. She denied it until they showed her the footage, until they showed her the messages. I watched it all on a screen, her face collapsing as the truth finally reached her. When she spoke to me, she was trying. "I didn't know," she said. "You didn't ask," I replied. That was the difference. Spencer faced charges. His future, his scholarships, collapsed. My inheritance was secured, and I was flown home under embassy protection. First class, escorted, safe. Before I left, Khalid handed me his card. "You are stronger than you know," he said. "Your father was right. You are a hidden gem." When I landed, my grandmother was waiting. "I've got you," she whispered. And for the first time in my life, I believed it.
I thought the hardest part would be being left behind. I was wrong. The hardest part was realizing that being abandoned wasn't an accident. It was a decision. When the video call ended in Bangkok, the screen went black, but the image of my mother's face stayed burned into my mind. She looked shattered. Not angry, not defensive, just empty. For years, I had imagined what it would feel like if she finally saw what Spencer really was. I thought it would feel like victory. It didn't. It felt like grief. Because when a parent finally sees the truth, they also see every moment they chose wrong. And that kind of realization doesn't come gently. Khaled didn't say anything right away. He let the silence sit. Not awkward silence, respectful silence. The kind you give someone when their entire childhood has just rearranged itself. Finally, he spoke. "You are safe now," he said. "Not will be, are." That mattered more than he probably realized. The embassy worked quickly. Emergency documents, clearances, security coordination. I watched adults move around me with calm efficiency, solving problems I didn't even know how to name. For the first time in my life, people were protecting me. Not Spencer, not my mother, me. That night, as I waited for my flight, exhaustion hit me all at once. Not the kind that sleep fixes, the kind that comes when adrenaline fades and reality finally catches up. I sat alone in the quiet lounge, staring out at the runways, thinking about how close I had come to disappearing. If Khaled hadn't seen me, if I'd wandered into the wrong place, if I'd trusted the wrong person next, I realized something terrifying. My brother hadn't just wanted me gone from the trip, he'd wanted me gone from the equation, and he almost succeeded. When boarding was called, an airline staff member walked beside me the entire way. I didn't argue when they seated me in first class. I didn't question the warm towel, or the careful tone, or the way every attendant seemed to already know my name. I just nodded, and sat, and let myself be taken care of. That was new for me. As the plane lifted into the night, I pressed my forehead against the window. Dubai disappeared beneath us, and with it, the version of me who still believed love was earned by being quiet. At 30,000 feet, something unexpected happened. I cried, not loudly, not dramatically, just steady tears sliding down my face as I stared into the dark. I wasn't crying for Spencer. I wasn't crying for my mother. I was crying for the girl who tried so hard to be invisible that she almost vanished completely. I slept, deeply, dreamlessly, for the first time in years. When I woke up, sunlight was spilling across the cabin. Breakfast was placed gently in front of me. The airline attendant smiled like she meant it, and for the first time, a thought formed clearly in my mind. I don't ever have to go back to being that girl. When we landed in Phoenix, my grandmother was waiting. Nora, small, straight-backed, eyes sharp with love and fury. She didn't ask questions. She didn't scold. She just wrapped her arms around me and said the words I didn't know I'd been waiting my whole life to hear. "I've got you now." And she meant it. That night, in her quiet Tucson house, surrounded by books and dust and lavender, I slept in a real bed. No fear, no wondering if I was wanted, just rest. But peace doesn't last long when truth has been uncovered, because consequences were coming, and they weren't gentle.
People think justice is loud. Sirens, courtrooms, shouting. It's not. Justice is quiet. It happens in paperwork, in sealed envelopes, in decisions that change the direction of lives without ceremony. Spencer's case moved through the juvenile system quickly, not because it was minor, because the evidence was overwhelming. Security footage, text messages, witness statements. There was no room for interpretation. He didn't forget me. He removed me. My mother came to see me 2 weeks later. She sat at my grandmother's kitchen table, hands folded, eyes red, smaller than I remembered. "I failed you," she said. Not, "I'm sorry." Failed. That word mattered. But apologies don't rebuild trust. They just acknowledge the damage. I listened, quietly, the way I always had. But this time, I didn't disappear. I told her the truth, that her love had always felt conditional, that Spencer didn't just lie, he learned he could lie because she rewarded it, that leaving me in Dubai wasn't the beginning, it was the culmination. She cried. She agreed. She didn't argue. And that was almost harder. I didn't go home with her. I stayed with my grandmother. That choice changed everything. Therapy followed, for all of us, mandatory for her, optional but necessary for me. And in those sessions, something remarkable happened. I found my voice. I learned that being quiet isn't kindness, it's survival. And survival doesn't have to be permanent. Spencer lost his scholarship. Coaches don't like international incidents. Background checks don't forget. The future he'd been so desperate to protect began to slip through his fingers. And for the first time in his life, charm wasn't enough. As for the trust fund, my father had been smarter than anyone realized. Every safeguard he built stayed intact. Education, opportunity, freedom, all protected, waiting. Years passed. I went to college, then graduate school. I traveled. I built something of my own, and slowly, the girl who cried on the marble floor of an airport became a woman who never questioned her right to take up space. I still have Khaled's card, worn now, edges soft. We speak sometimes, not often, but enough. He says Fatima would have liked the woman I became. I think she would have too. My mother and I have a relationship, not the one she wants, the one that's honest. And Spencer? We don't speak. Some doors close quietly and never reopen. That's not bitterness. That's boundaries. People ask me now how I became so strong. I tell them the truth. I didn't. I just stopped disappearing. And sometimes, late at night, when airports feel too quiet and memories come back uninvited, I think about those 7 words. Come with me. Trust me. They will regret this. He wasn't promising revenge. He was promising safety. And that was enough to change everything.